Going back to the story we just had the film on there, we're joined now by the author and journalist Kate Welsh. Welcome to the programme. Recent free speech rankings survey by Spite said that 94% of UK universities have censored free speech in the past year. Some have no platform, people like Germaine Greer, Roger Scruton, and a human rights activist called Miriam Namazi. Are you happy with that?
I don't believe it's censorship. I believe that freedom of speech is also freedom to accept the consequences of that speech. And if that means that certain institutions don't want to promote or give you a platform to say these things, then you have to accept that.
Really?
Yes, I do.
That's not curtailing freedom of speech?
No, I don't think it is.
Well,
people like Germaine Greer.
But you've just taken away the freedom of these people to speak at the university.
They can speak wherever they like, but freedom of speech is not freedom to be invited wherever you want.
What's the point of a university if you don't allow a variety of views to be expressed?
A variety of views, that's absolutely fine.
Well, clearly not if you're Germaine Greer.
I think if students are being asked to pay increasingly higher fees, and I think that if they object to people like Germaine Greer, Julie Bindel, Milo Yiannopoulos being given frequently pretty hefty speaking fees themselves and be given a platform at their university, then I think they have a right.
Julie Bindel doesn't take fees for that. Julie Bindel does not take fees, and she has worked for 30 years raising awareness of violence against women and done so, you know, thanklessly. And for her to be barred from universities simply because she has a different view to you or some of the people in that university about transgender issues is a disgrace, as it is with Peter Tatchell.
I think... Hold on, to
say that they're getting money for it, it's absolutely legal.
Kate Welsh.
I think Julie Bindel has done some fantastic things for women's issues. I will not decry that. I do believe that she has frequently incited hatred against transgender people, and that puts...
But she hasn't. She's defended transgendered people. I've heard her do it. She's done it to me. I've spoken to her about it. She's defended transgender people where all she does is cleave to the notion, which is actually a scientific fact, whether you like it or not, which is that someone who has transitioned from a man to a woman is still technically, essentially, if you wish to call it, essentially a man.
The issue is not what is right or wrong. The issue is, shouldn't you be able to hear the views on both sides of the argument? And you can't if you ban people. I mean, the Lincoln University, a student union, it banned the University Conservative Association from social media because the association had pointed out that the university had a low ranking when it came to free speech. I mean, this is getting ridiculous.
I don't think that's on the same par as criticising who's being invited to speak at universities, or to say that a democratically elected student union preferring not to sell papers like the Daily Mail.
But why would you do it at all?
Why are you scared?
I'm not remotely scared.
Well, I know, but isn't a university exactly the place where there should be this cross-fertilisation of ideas, of political opinions, a breadth of informed opinion, of contentious opinion, of things which you might find difficult to accept, and things which I might find difficult to accept? That's what we should have at universities. Surely that's the point of it.
But freedom of speech and freedom of expression for minority groups has traditionally been oppressed or made difficult to access by people who criticise their ability to exist, like Julie Bindel with trans people, Milo Yiannopoulos.
She doesn't criticise their ability to exist.
No, we've been around that.
We've been around that.
Yeah. The principal issue here is not the rights or the wrongs of any of these issues. It is that the university, if you're lucky enough to get to one, is one of the few times in your life when you can go along and hear every view under the sun. But in fact, what is happening now is that views are being channeled into a very narrow tunnel. And if you're outside of that with your views, you don't get in.
I think it's a very exciting time to be a student right now. I graduated 10 years ago. We didn't... the progressive movement that's flowering now was really only in bud then. But I think students are turning around and saying no to bigotry and no to hate speech.
Well, they can go along to meetings and say that.
It's only a minority who are doing that. It's the minority in the students' unions who are doing that. And I speak as someone with a kid who's at university who says, actually, all this rubbish, this idiocy, this politically correct nonsense has no purchase whatsoever amongst a wider student body. It has a purchase only amongst the perennially active, amongst the political groups within there. And don't forget as well,
generally
Andrew,
people from oppressed groups. Please remember that.
Is it
Universities have always been a safe space for straight white men. What we're seeing now is an increase of levelling the playing field for other voices to be heard,
So
and that
what
will
about-
mean
No, you're stopping other
removing.
people's
But that
voices
will mean
being heard.
removing the platform from one person and giving it to somebody else.
City
So a gay
University.
woman, you remove it from a gay woman.
City University in London, which runs a well-known journalism course, voted to ban the Daily Mail, the Sun and the Express. What's the point of that? Nobody, you don't have to read these papers. Why would you ban them?
When you're on a journalism course, it's fabulous.
I think
Is
Daily
it
Mail
true?
and journalism don't always go hand in hand.
No, that's your
It's one of
view.
the most
That's
successful
just your
newspapers in
view.
the
That doesn't
world.
give you the
They're
right
they're
to
not
vote for
preventing
banning
their
them.
students from buying it anywhere else. They're saying in this specific.
Campus,
In the specific
where
campus.
people are studying journalism. I mean, if you don't like Daily Mail journalism, I perfectly understand that. Journalists should know what, in your view, is bad journalism.
It's a commercial boycott. It's perfectly acceptable.
You have to remember as well, Andrew, that it's not just the students. There was the Adam Smith Institute report recently, which suggested that I think it was 85% of university lecturers tended to the left, were liberals, tended to the left.
Sure, but that's always
So-
been
And,
the
and
case.
so,
That's
well, no, it hasn't
regularly
always
the
been the
case,
case.
pretty much.
Back in the 60s, they did this comparison, it was something like 60%. So it's still a majority, but nothing like the hegemony within those universities now is all from this sort of left, liberal, censorious, intolerant and authoritarian...
Well, that's your view, I suppose, as well.
Well, yes, I just said it.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of viewpoints,
Yes,
that isn't
yes.
generally accepted by everyone, that is the view at universities.
Right.
Oh, well,
Welsh,
well, the
thank
left
you.
wing
We
view
need
is.
to move on. Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much for
much.
being with us.